Good afternoon, everyone. We'll get started here in just a few minutes.
All right, everybody, let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Voice for Pets Live. I'm Bryn Langford, and with me, as always, is Michael Wheelock. If y'all have any questions, put them in the chat. We will answer them as we go along.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for everybody for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about ATS texting, and we're not only going to go over the product, but we're also going to do some live demonstration and workflows. And we'll talk about some updates that are imminently coming. So, with that, those that have attended before know I always try to ask a off the wall question, and lately they've been very soccer related with the World Cup, and this is our last episode during the World Cup. I think some of us are kind of ready for it to be done with. It was exciting at first. Now we're just kind of worn out, but great job to the US for hosting everybody. So Brent, I'm going to turn us back to a work related question, but this really talks to you. And So I gotta ask, my wife is notorious for having 40, 50 tabs open in her browser. And then she comes to me and says, my computer doesn't work. How many tabs do you have open on average or currently in your browser?
2 to 3.
Wow, you're even more precise than me. I average maybe six,
It stresses
sometimes
me out.
seven.
I can't, I
Yeah.
can't, I can't deal with all the tabs open. It stresses me out.
All right, well, guys, let's run a little competition. I don't know that we're going to have a prize, but let's see. Put in chat how many tabs you have open at any given time on your computer. Don't lie. We'll know about it. And so throw that in the chat. Let's see who has the most tabs open in their browser on their computer. With that, let's go ahead and get started. Bryn, you want to walk us through kind of what we can expect today?
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, self-explanatory from the title. We're going to get the most out of ATS texting and what we have to offer, what we expect, and as you said, updates that are coming along. I'm curious to know as well. And really just to how to maximize and efficiently use ATS texting.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's jump in here. We're gonna focus very product specific around texting. Now, Bryn, texting has become very popular. Any guesses why?
People prefer to text rather than call.
And they read their texts,
Yeah.
right? So text messages have a 98% open rate, and these are industry stats, not Michael Wheelock stats. They versus like an email might have a 30% open rate. So texting has become very popular way for us to communicate with customers. And then the other thing is people see a lot bigger return on texting from a marketing standpoint. Now we're going to talk about some best practices around that from a marketing perspective. If you are going to market texting, I should disclaimer this. I'm not a lawyer. please consult with your local legislative laws around marketing and texting because there are some strict ones these days. Google is your friend when it comes to that. So there's a lot of ways and here we see the reasons why people use texting in the lower right. I'm glad my my numbers weren't off that I was doing by memory. But there's a lot of ways that you can use texting. Obviously, appointment reminders and confirmations. Your employees in the field. You want to communicate, but mostly it's with customers, and communicating with them. You can do marketing through it, and your customers want to text you. If you don't have texting live on your system, there's a good chance that you're missing communications from your customers or leads. So with ATS texting, it comes in three different flavors. We start with just the starter package. It's great for your single user business that just wants to get texting enabled on their phone number. It does support all the features like group messaging. So it's called group MMS, where you've got the husband and the wife and you're sending them all a message on one thread. It does support picture content. You can send PDFs out of it if a customer wants to see their invoice. But I want to highlight a feature here, which is the abandoned call text back. And this is a very powerful feature if you haven't heard about it. Having the texting and the phone system in one ecosystem and one provider means that the systems can communicate better with each other. And our developers have built this functionality where if a customer or a prospect calls you, okay, they get past any greetings you may have and they're waiting to talk to someone and they hang up, right? That's a lost lead. That's lost money. We want to recapture that. The system will automatically trigger an outbound message to that phone number. It's a very generic message. Remember, there's a lot of strict rules around marketing to people. And in some states, you have to get opt in permission to legally market over SMS to individuals. So it's a very generic message by design. You've reached XYZ Pest Control, XYZ Landscaping. We're sorry we missed your call. How can we help? The whole goal of that message is to engage that remote party. It happens automatically. If they reply back, obviously consult your local legal representation. But a general rule of thumb is they've now opted in. They've given you permission by sending that message back to be able to respond. We build on Starter by opening up the main company telephone number to be able to text with your customers across multiple employees. Okay. So it increases with the standard tier up to 5 users. Each license also includes the ability to have a separate phone number. So as long as it's in the phone system, you can SMS enable it, and 2,500 text messages a month. It includes all those great benefits of the standard package, but it builds on that scalability. So it's going to include 2,500 text messages a month. In that is inbound and outbound on those counts. Okay. And it includes all the scalability. Now, both of these first two options I should highlight for the majority of the softwares that we integrate into, your pest packs, your real greens, your field routes, your aspires, your brio stacks, the list goes on, serve suites, we will push SMS content as a note into those just like we do phone calls. The difference is a text message may go back and forth and have 30 minutes in between messages going back and forth. It's all one conversation. So instead of pushing it like when a phone call hangs up, we know that's the end of the phone call and we can push that note in there. We push that note in the middle of the night once a day, and it includes all of that information behind the hyperlink, with the exception of multimedia content. Multimedia content doesn't live behind the hyperlink. And then if you have your AI summary notes or Smart Data Plus, AI will actually analyze that conversation, generate a summary, and push that summary straight into your software. The premium tier really builds on that. So it's for our heavy users, and it's for our users that want to do things like send blast messages, where they're uploading a list and they're sending a blast message out. Drip campaign is the same as a blast message, but it's multiple messages on a on a schedule. Excuse me. So you're defining those messages. It's not AI defining it for you. You're getting the responses back to your employees in the office, and it also opens up API access to use third parties to use this texting engine to send messages. Obviously, with that, we expect your volumes to be a lot higher, so we increase the threshold from 2,500 to 10,000. So those are the flavors that you can get ATS texting in. It's the same engine, same desktop interface. There is a mobile interface as well. Okay. So we spent some time talking about abandoned call text back, sometimes referred to as missed call. Yeah, a recent enhancement that we made is if a customer leaves a message after hours, we will actually send them a text message as well. And then we talked about the summaries and things like that. Now, everybody uses texting differently. Everybody uses the phone system differently. That's one of the great things about affiliated voice for pest, voice for turf in our ecosystem is that when we do this, we include unlimited personalized training. We have a dedicated trainer on staff who will sit down with your team. You hire a new customer service rep. We will train them on the tools. We do not charge for that training. Make sure you're taking advantage of that. If you need to trigger a training session, just go to affiliatedtech.com/train. You'll see a list of training videos on there. But you'll also see a button that says request live training. We're here for you. We want to make sure you're getting the most out of your system. So as I mentioned earlier, there are desktop interfaces through the web, through your browser. We're going to show those here in a little bit. There's also a mobile app if you're not sitting at your desk that you can respond to messages. You can do 90% of what you can do on the desktop in the mobile app. You're not going to be triggering blast messages through the mobile app, right? It's multimedia capable, so your picture messages and your group messages are all going to be there as well. There are some reportings built into the platform. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. So with that being said, let's jump into the tool. You okay with that, Bren? Any questions that we've gotten before we jump into the tool?
Not so far.
Awesome. Well, it means I'm doing a good job. So let's come over to ATS texting here, right? Now, this is your desktop interface. A couple of things, and please ask questions because I'm sure as we're going through this, there's so many different options. There are things that I'm going to miss in here, right? But it's pretty self-explanatory to start a new message. So I can either pick a telephone number or a user. So I'll just type in my telephone number. I happen to already be a user in my address book, so I'm going to select that. If I wanted to add some of these other numbers on there, I can definitely add them in a group conversation. Now to send a message, I'm simply going to type in a message. I'm just going to put in just some characters here. If I wanted to attach a picture, I could use the attachment here. If I wanted to set up a signature, so we'll see this here in a second, but you can see I have a signature line down there. I can select which signature I want to use. You simply type it in here and click Add Signature. We also have templates. We call them canned responses. These are frequently used messages. So I'm just going to do my summer promo template here. And then if I have the premium, I can apply it to the drip campaign. So I sent this outbound message. You'll notice that it injected in the signature line here. Okay. and you can customize that to be whatever you want. That is coming from your main business telephone number. The customer writes back in, so I'll write back in. Helps if you don't have do not disturb turned on. And I'm actually on my marketing number here. So we're going to see an alert for a secondary number come back in. So they write back in, I get an audible alert. I see this pop up in the lower left hand. If I'm on that pane, I can click go to conversation. It's going to take me to that conversation that I've been having with that customer. So we're going back and forth talking with the customer throughout the day, and I've resolved this issue. Okay. My coworkers can see all my responses. If they're on the desktop interface, they can see the employee that responded, but I am done. This customer has been cared for. There's no more follow up anticipated. I'm going to simply archive this message. Now, we always recommend that you use the archive versus the delete. If you delete it, system's going to throw a warning. It is deleting that conversation and all that content forever from this interface. It'll still go into your software like it did before, but I'm going to archive this message because I like keeping my space clean. We see that the message not only disappeared from my interface, but it disappeared from all my coworkers' interface as well. So it's not clogging up their workspace either. Right? Bren, I see we have a question. I'm going to go ahead and pause and let you tell us what that question is.
Yes, Julia said as a real green user, the captivated system has generally worked well for me given the integration, since you can also integrate what would be some differentiators with ATS texting. Also, we are voice for turf customers.
We'll get to that. That's a big question, and we will get to that. I promise. Don't let me forget that, Brent. I do want to support that this interface does support multiple numbers here. So you'll notice that I came over to what I call my main number. It's labeled as Michael Wheelock here, right? And I do have a marketing number over here where I started because that's where I had logged in last time. Now I've archived this message. The customer writes back in, how you doing? The great thing about archiving it is I see the complete history when I go to that thread. So customer texts in a picture. So I'm just going to pick a picture here. Oh, let's go with my old tractor here sitting in the garage that I've been working on, and we'll see that come through here in a second. So when that comes in, we'll come back to it. I've got all of this history. While I'm here, I do want to highlight this is what a group message looks like. So I've got all the parties in the message. So I've got some contacts that are set up in there, but I also have just a general phone number in there. Okay. Let me come back here. We can see a picture of my tractor. You can see the details. You can download it. You want to zoom in, you want to save it in the file, etc. So if someone has a bee's nest or they have a POA infestation, that's a weed for those that don't know, I can definitely get down granular and know how to treat that situation. Now it comes 6 o'clock. It's time, or 5 o'clock, or whatever time you end your day. You can activate your away message. It's one of your canned messages that you've defined. Yes, you can have multiple of them. And what that means is now if the customer writes back in, and it takes a second for me to get to everything. Let me type back in. Are you still working? I have an emergency. You'll notice that they received an automatic reply here. Okay. So if I bring it up on my camera, and I know it doesn't show well, but as a customer, they're seeing that from my main phone number. They see that automatic reply just like on my desktop. and they know to call into the office if it's an emergency. Why do we set it up like this? Well, if it is genuinely an emergency and you offer emergency services for your customer, you may not know, but we have a get out of bed feature. We can make a prompt with a voicemail box on there that when that caller calls in, leaves that message, the message may say something like, or the greeting may say something like, by leaving a message here, you're agreeing to a $150 emergency dispatch fee. Okay. When they leave that message, I will call, or the system will call a list of phone numbers in rotation that you give us and keep calling until somebody answers to get them up out of bed, right? So that's why it's common to have this in your after hours message. Now we're going to get into one of the enhancements coming. It's targeted for next week. So let's say in the next 10 days that you will see to this system. If you're an existing user, you will automatically see this. Your system will be refreshed to automatically see this. But you notice that I had to turn that away message on manually. We're adding the ability to have schedules in there. So you can set a schedule where your away message um, automatically comes on at 5 o'clock every night. You don't have to worry about turning this on and off, and it turns off at 8 a.m. every morning when you're back in the office. Okay. So you're going to get all of these features that I talked about, the group messaging, the multimedia content, the synchronization with your software, the out of office alert, the archiving. All of that is available on both the standard and the starter edition of the system. Okay. When we go to the premium, it opens up the ability to do blast messages. A blast message is simply, I have 50 people I want to send this message to. I want to send an appointment reminder for tomorrow's dispatch, and I want it to come from my main number because most softwares require you to get a secondary number if you're using their automatic reminder. You would simply schedule or send a blast message. So to send a blast message, you come in, type the name of the message, you add your message content here. You can upload multimedia here if you want to. There are merged fields that those are like placeholders if you are including, you want the customer's name in there, right? And when you do this, you're selecting, and we're going to talk about this here in a second, but who you're sending it to. So I'm just going to send this to myself. And I am going to schedule it to come out tomorrow morning. So I click my time zone. I am here in the central time zone, and let's just say I want this to come out at 1:30 p.m. When I click, trying to figure out, oh, today's the 15th, not the 14th. That's why. So we can't send something on a schedule in the past, but I click send message. Okay. Now, most people don't want to have to pick the users that they're sending this message to. They've already got a list of users. They're probably exporting it from their software and they've got that list. How do we get them into the system and schedule them to be able to send a message? Well, we actually start under the contacts tab here, right? I'm going to click the import button here in the upper right. Now, I don't know the format that the tool wants it in, so I'm going to click download sample. I won't be able to bring up the sample, I don't think, on the screen share. You guys can tell me if you see it or not, but I've got this sample message, so let me drag it across, and you can see the information and how I can import it in. So I can add these fields here, and these fields, maybe you're using them in your customized messages with those placeholders. The one thing I want to highlight is the phone number needs to be in this format. So it's the area code dash, the next three digits are called the NPA. I know I'm getting technical there. You don't have to remember that area code or that format. It just needs to be in this format, that acronym, sorry, talking too much, right? So I've got my list of users I want to import in, right? You'll notice that in that Excel spreadsheet, I've got titles for each column. That's called a header row. So I'm going to say, yes, my file has a header row. I'm going to choose the contacts that I want to send this to. So I'm going to come down here to my import file right here. It's going to say, yes, you've successfully put those in there. I am not going to copy and paste. Most people do not copy and paste. You can, if you want to, copy and paste in this format, but most people, it's much easier just to import it in from a file. That's what I recommend. It's going to tell me about these contacts. So it's got the information about their phone number, any of these other fields over here that I have used. It'll throw alerts if I want it to. In this case, it's telling me these users are already contacts in the system. No big deal. That's just a warning. I can re-import them in, but I'm going to select a list. Okay, this is where I'm defining who the blast message is going out to. Most people would create a new list. I'm a big fan of using the date. So I'm going to call it dispatch reminder. And I'm going to create that list. It has selected the list, and I'm going to finalize the import and confirm that, yes, this is where I want everything. That list is now set up in the system. If I come down here, I can see there's that list right there. After I've imported in my contacts, I'm going to come over to my blast message. I'm going to type in my content for this blast message, and then I'm going to select the list that I'm sending them to. Okay, so just because my computer's acting up, there it goes. There's the list we just created. Remember, I can keep this in draft format. I can send it now, or I can schedule it. If it's in draft or schedule, I'm saving the blast. If I change that to send now, it's now going to let me send the blast. And I've sent that blast message out. Okay. Before we move on, right, I'm going to highlight the reports. And being in the demo system, I don't have very many reports in here. Let me come over here to my sent system. Here's the blast message that I just sent out. It hasn't updated yet, but when I get to the point, so I'll pick on one of my old ones. Let me just click on this one. It's going to show me, hey, this was sent to one user. This is the user I sent it to. It was delivered. It's going to tell me about those that it failed on, so I'm not continuing to try to send those. It is, if I had it scheduled out, it would show me the schedule and those that are scheduled. And then it's going to tell me about the opt-out information. Okay. So you'll notice in the blast messages when we sent it, it is injecting in this footer, stop to unsubscribe. Okay. If a person wants to opt back in, they simply click on or type in start, all caps, and that will opt them back in. That's a very frequent question that we get. It will continue to honor their opt out status even if I go under my conversations. If someone has opted out, so let me just pick on our message from earlier, and I'm going to say stop. Second here. I am manually typing things in, and I'm not always the fastest. Okay, so you may have noticed that stop popped in. We can see it here, and it archived that conversation. So if I come in my filters, I can see my archived conversations. They're still readily accessible. I can see that conversation, and I can see that that individual opted out. I am not allowed to send them a message. Even if I come in and start a new conversation and I pick that content, and it's important that you honor these, you'll notice that it is still they've opted out. Now, if I reply start, just like it says right here, as the remote party, you would think I had all these typed out ahead of time. It will then remove that opt-out information, and they can now you can communicate with them. If I hit refresh, it should allow me to communicate with them, and you see they're back in my normal live conversation thread. Okay. I talked about we were going to talk about best practices. If you're sending blast messages, especially if you're sending them out for marketing, okay, you want a secondary number for those. It is very easy for phone numbers to be labeled as spam in the carriers today, and it is extra easy over SMS. Like on my iPhone, if I hit delete, if someone sends me a random message, if you have an iPhone, you've probably seen this. It says report spam, report junk, I think, or report spam and delete. I always click that if somebody's trying to sell me health insurance or something along those lines. I'm sure we've all gotten those messages. You do not want that to happen to your main number. Yes, there are remediation steps if it does, but get a marketing number for these marketing messages. Your standard platform includes up to 5 numbers. Premium does as well, and an extra telephone number on the phone system is all of $1 a month. That is a cheap way to protect your identity and keep your main number free, so that when you call customers, they're not seeing spam likely or spam on there. Okay? Last thing I'm going to highlight is drip campaigns. So a drip campaign is simply a series of multiple blast messages being sent to my list, and I can schedule a delay on those. Okay, so I can schedule it in hours, I can schedule it in days, etc. It is that automatic follow-up. Okay, so that is a little bit about blasts and drip campaigns. The last topic that I have to highlight is one thing I should highlight. I said I'd call these out as we see it. Remember, I told you we're coming out with a new enhancement in the next 10 days. If you're an existing user and you're not seeing these enhancements in the next 2 weeks, please reach out to us. But if I am a premium customer, so whether I am standard or starter, I'll see that timer for my away message. But if I am a premium customer, you will see enhancements to the blast message that allow you to send them as a group message as well to parties. Meaning, I want 2 people to see this message. I want them to be on the same thread, but I want to trigger it through a blast message that will be supported. That is an enhancement that's coming out. Last thing is our integrations. This is available to our premium customers. So you can see there's some pre-built integrations in here. I referenced this earlier as API. So a lot of things you're going to see are like in Slack, Teams, and Google Chat. You can use that to send messages and monitor messages if you're using any of those platforms. But the most popular integration, and I call this the API, is simply the webhook relay. This is a way that you can automatically trigger from a third party to send a message out to a customer. Okay. So you're going to need someone on your team to set this up for you, but we have some pretty straightforward job aids in here of how to do it. It even tells you how you can structure sending multimedia content, how you can structure sending the body of your message. Okay, so with that, there was a question posed earlier about how does this compare to Captivated? Well, I'm not a Captivated expert, just going to be transparent on that. I think it's pretty like for like. Captivated does some things I've heard, again, and I don't want to disparage them around pricing. where we can be much more cost effective. We have straightforward pricing. Once you sign up, we have a history of never increasing the price on an existing platform. The big feature that Captivated has that this doesn't is that button in real green that says send to Captivated, right? Um, Unfortunately, Real Green and WorkWave have kind of prevented us from building that in there. They've kept that as a Captivated exclusive, but I've heard customers have a lot of issues with that. If you're exporting your list out of Real Green or any other software and want to send your appointment reminders that way, this tool will do everything you want. If you're sitting that auto send from Real Green, send to Captivated, excuse me, and that's working for you, this system will not support that. So I think there's a lot of benefits to this over the Captivated. I've summarized some of those. Again, I'm not a Captivated expert, but if you want to talk one-on-one, happy to do so with that. So guys, in a nutshell, that is ATS texting. Remember that it is always available from a training perspective with us. I should bring up this slide. I always forget to bring it up when we're going to a live demo. But if you have any questions or want to talk further about this, be sure to email us at hello@voiceforpest.com or get in touch with your account manager. Brent, any questions or chat that have popped in since our first one?
Nope, not yet.
Awesome. Well, hopefully this has been beneficial to everyone. On the mobile app, we get a delay in sending text. Philip says that. Philip, let's get with that offline. That's usually in a low data connection, but we would want to look at your specific deployment. So please email us at hello@voiceforpest.com, and we'll definitely get one of our engineers to look at that for you. That's a great question, and we're always here for you and have support for you. There's no charge ever for our support. Oh, you talked to Tyler. Okay. I'll get with Tyler and see what he says about it. Thanks, Philip. All right. Well, guys, if there's no further questions, Bryn, when's our next time that we're going to reconvene? Do we have anything on
To,
the calendar quite yet?
to be determined, but we're hopefully going to have Applause join us in August. So
Oh,
stay
that's an
tuned.
exciting one. Yeah, that's an exciting one, guys. When we get these guest speakers on, be sure to attend. Thank you for your time today. Everyone have a great weekend. I wish there was a holiday. I could wish everybody a happy holiday coming up, but happy Wednesday evening. That's coming up, right?
Happy England
It's
Argentina game. That starts at 2.
so Bryn's thinking soccer. I'm thinking, isn't Wednesday normally enchilada night at the Mexican restaurant? Happy enchilada night. All right, guys. See you soon.